Name an iconic video game trilogy. Trilogies, they've been a thing since, sure, but you'll notice a lot of media will stop making sequels after the first three. Then after that, they'll try to reboot it, or just ignore it until people become nostalgic for it. But if you're lucky, they'll milk it for all it's worth. Like with movies, for example. How many Minion movies would you like to see until you're tired of it? But for video games, I feel like this is different. Look at the Harry Potter video games. There are so many unique ones. You can only make so many Harry Potter movies, but you can make tons of different video games with that franchise. Which is weird because video games a lot of the time are the only thing keeping a franchise relevant. Hell, the only reason they might become relevant again is because they're getting a video game. Not saying it's a bad thing, I think it just shows how extremely popular the gaming industry is, and how people just want to live in the same world as their favorite characters. No company has done this better than Traveler's Tales with the LEGO video game series. They've dealt with tons of properties, and are one of the best at turning film universes into games. Now when it comes to video game trilogies and the LEGO game series, nothing can be more iconic than TT's first three properties they made into LEGO games. You know what games I'm talking about: LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, LEGO Indiana Jones, and LEGO Batman the video game. These games are such an iconic piece of my childhood, and I'm sure they are for a lot of other people as well. Something weird about these three games was they all released in a span of 10 months, which is insane. Of course, The Complete Saga is mostly just a re-release of their last game, with some added stuff and tweaks, but Indiana Jones and Batman were completely their own things, built off the same engine. Which a lot of people don't know, but Indiana Jones and Batman actually have a joint development, only being released 3 months after each other.
John said that a skeleton team was left to work on Batman as the bulk of the team wrapped up Indiana Jones and then moved back to Batman.
Now today I wanted to continue the journey I started in my last video, that being, play every single portable LEGO game. I do recommend watching that video either before or after this one, just because I do reference it. In this video I'll be covering the Nintendo DS versions of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, LEGO Indiana Jones, and LEGO Batman the video game. I will not be doing the PSP versions of Indiana Jones and Batman, mostly because those are extremely impressive console ports, and I want to focus on the games that were built from the ground up, maybe someday in another video. So I'm going to start things off with LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga on Nintendo DS. Like LEGO Star Wars 2 on DS, we start off in the Cantina, and it is also the main hub in the game. It's like its console counterpart, other than the minigame room really. It also has multi-cartridge multiplayer, which is a cool trend for these portable LEGO games. Almost all of them, at least the earlier ones, had the whole entire game playable for a friend if they owned a copy of the game, which is super cool and ambitious. It's just so hard to find any actual gameplay of it online, so you are welcome. I think I'm the first person to ever upload footage of this game's co-op mode. Sadly, I didn't play through the whole game in co-op. It definitely would have made it a lot better, but the fact that they have it here is pretty cool. Anyways, this game plays quite different to LEGO Star Wars 2 on DS. Sure, they're both LEGO games, and are the same game when it comes to the LEGO game formula, but the game is running on a completely different engine, so levels, characters, nearly everything is different. But I don't know, I just think I like the graphics a lot more in LEGO Star Wars 2. Don't get me wrong, they don't look bad here, but everything just kind of looks flat. Well, I felt like that game had a lot more detail on the character models, but at the same time that game lacked any polish unlike this one. Also, the way the game is played feels very different too. In LEGO Star Wars 2, the characters' physics feel like they're ripped right out of the console, but in the Complete Saga it feels like these characters were made with this console and engine in mind. Not that it matters really, it's just jarring when you look at the two side by side. So anyways, let's start the first level, watch a text crawl, and then we get to watch a cutscene. I love how they just took some screenshots from the console version and made it like a puppet show kind of thing. I think they're kind of charming, and I'm glad I took this approach instead of heavily compressing the video. Now, how is the actual game itself? Yeah, it's just a beat-for-beat recreation of the console version, just looking a lot uglier and downgraded. You play through all 6 Star Wars films. The levels mostly consist of platforming, solving puzzles, and just getting to the end of the level. All the puzzles kind of suck. It's just find another character so you can unlock a door, But the main difference between this and LEGO Star Wars 2 on DS, when you go to a character panel, you're given a mini game. Which, yeah, these mini games are fine, but most of the time they just slow me down or completely take me out of the game. Especially when all the mini games are just there so I can have something to do with the touchscreen. You could do some other stuff with the touchscreen, like use the force, or well, that's it. But it's so encouraged you use the touchscreen when doing the force, because when you do, you end up doing it at triple the speed. They just really didn't want you to use the buttons when doing this. Well, yes, you can do it, it's just slow. And I found it pretty annoying. The only other time you'll be using the touchscreen are for the touchscreen mini games, which are required for 100% completion. You know how in LEGO games you can buy extras to give you lots of cool cheats or just some cool bonuses. Yeah, in this game they all suck. Most of the extras you buy end up being crappy mini games, or for some reason you could buy the panel mini games. Seriously, who's going to replay these? And when you do end up getting every sub multiplier, you can't even stack them, which made going for 100% completion in this game super slow. But let me get back to the touchscreen mini games because they're really bad. So a lot of these mini games range from alright to completely unfair. Some of these are brutally difficult, and even when I looked up a guide on YouTube, they just said they beat most of them using an emulator by slowing down the game. But yes, I did beat all the mini games, even though it took ages. I wanted to 100% complete it. I just wish these were optional. Or if you wanted to make them for 100% completion, at least make them fun. Most of these are just one and dones. You have no reason to ever play them again after you complete it. But after you complete all of them, you get challenge versions of them, so you must replay almost all of them. I just can't believe they expect a child to beat these mini games, let alone play them. They're all super boring. I don't mean to talk about these mini games so much, but they were by far the worst part of the game, and ended up making my completion time over 24 hours. You can tell TT was not wanting to have another major screw up like LEGO Star Wars 2 on DS, but nothing really stands out. The characters all do exactly what you expect them to do, with no real reason to be some characters over others, unless there's a panel that needs unlocked. And yeah, you just play through all 6 Star Wars films with some panels in the way. It is pretty fun to play through them, but a lot of the levels don't really stand out at all. It doesn't help that the camera is mostly stuck in one place most of the time, making every level feel the same. I wouldn't say the levels are boring because of the films, but they just don't strive to do anything unique. And to be fair, a lot of these are just another spaceship or another planet. Like, I can never tell you how most of these levels went in my life. Honestly, I guess that's fine. I can definitely say that was probably the right move for them if they wanted to continue to make successful versions for the handheld. I just know this isn't why I finally remember these DS versions. I mean, the game does have some of its own style, like the panel mini games, the extra mini games, and when you do a spaceship battle, the game utilizes both screens, which is kinda cool, but it makes a lot of the spaceship battles feel the same and super boring. Overall, the game wasn't hard to complete. I actually enjoyed my time replaying some levels on free play looking for mini kits. Just this game has a lot of little annoyances in the way, like the stud multipliers and the mini games. I should be grateful that there's stud multipliers in this game in general, or that it isn't as buggy as LEGO Star Wars 2 on DS. This game didn't bug out on me once from what I remember, but as a kid I do remember doing this glitch with Jar Jar where he could basically jump out of bounds. I can't remember how I figured it out, but yeah, I can still do it. I don't know if it's known about in the speedrunning community, but you can use this glitch to beat the last level as soon as you beat the second level in the game. So hopefully this is groundbreaking news that 6-year-old me was holding on to. Anyways, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. I know I was just bashing on it the whole time, but I do really love it. It filled my need for a LEGO Star Wars game on the go as a kid, and this was the game I got with my DS on Christmas. I have loads of memories of this game, and I'll always look back on it fondly. Remember, a lot of these issues I had of the game was coming from the fact that I was trying to 100% complete it, and the game doesn't do anything harmful. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. But that's why the only thing I had to talk about it was its flaws. Nothing really stands out. Obviously, TT was playing it super safe after Amazing Entertainment's LEGO Star Wars 2 port on DS. I completely understand why they did. I just hope that in the next installments they strive for greater and utilize the fact they're on a different console more. Anyways, yeah, the game was pretty okay. Finally, something not connected to the Star Wars franchise. LEGO Indiana Jones, or what I like to call it, one of the most underappreciated LEGO games. I loved LEGO Indiana Jones as a kid. I just kind of find it odd no one mentions it really. I'm sure it's because Indiana Jones had a really mixed movie release when it came out. I really wish people didn't sleep on this game, because it's really great. But how does the DS version hold up? So this game's on the exact same engine as the complete Saga. The graphics and everything look and feel the same, but that's not a bad thing. This game starts off in Barnett College. It's where Indiana Jones teaches at, and I like this hub world a lot more. It just feels more unique, and it's cool being able to walk around it, even being able to go outside. Sure, it's trying to mimic the console version, but it has enough differences to make it stand out. In this game, you play through the first 3 Indiana Jones movies, because TT was asked to develop this game out of nowhere, and for it to release at the same time as the fourth film, so they had no time to put the fourth film in. Anyways, let's start the main story. I can't wait to see what the cutscenes are like. Yeah, they just downgraded the quality of the console version, and that's it. They look really bad. Maybe on a small screen they look fine, but don't watch these on a big screen. Like, I only think they did this because they wanted to see if they could do it. Anyways, I played through the first level, and oh my god, the game actually feels really fun. You can tell now that this engine is being utilized a lot more. While the complete saga, playing through the levels got really boring at times. Each level in this game felt like an adventure, and you have loads to do. Yes, the panel minigames are back, but they happen far less often, and the minigames this time around actually feel like they have something to do with an adventure. Like in LEGO Star Wars, I'm touching blocks as they fall, but here, I'm lighting torches to find bricks, or looking through a book to find out how to unlock this door. And it never took me out of the gameplay. Not to mention, the combat in this game is so much better. There's an actual reason to be characters over others. Like, you can just fight them with your fist, and when you hold down the Y button, it makes you do a full combo, which feels really nice. Or, say if the enemies have weapons, you can use Indy's whip to take them from them. Or if you're really good at the game, you can hold down the A button and whip characters towards you and then instantly take them out. But not only that, when searching around the level sometimes you can find weapons, which any character can grab. And these can range from all sorts of things, like swords, guns, or even a rocket launcher. These weapons can help you in combat, or just may be the solution to a boss fight or a puzzle, which just gives the game a lot of depth. Like I said, there are reasons to be characters over others, like characters with machine guns can take out enemies faster, or some characters can just defeat enemies in one hit. I'm glad they have this. It actually makes me think before I start a level. The puzzles in this game aren't boring. You can get a lot of different tasks thrown at you. Like sometimes you're required to use Indy's whip to climb up areas, or you need to dig something up. Sometimes you can turn into a monkey to climb up some vines. In a lot of areas, they have these blue brick puzzles where you have to find 3 blue bricks around the area to make something. And I like these a lot. They can be used in a lot of creative ways, and it feels satisfying to find them all. I like how it all leads up to something. They also have torch puzzles where you need to either light up or blow out torches to unlock a door, or you can blow up inflatable rafts to get over an area of water. Some levels have special disguises that you need to wear to unlock a door. You see what I mean? This game has so much to do in each level. And even replaying a lot of these levels on free play mode was a lot of fun. Just getting to explore areas you previously couldn't. They even have some Star Wars Easter eggs in some areas, or you could find Santa Claus. Each story feels like a proper adventure, with every level having different environments and each boss fight being unique. In the complete saga, a lot of the time, you just hit an enemy until they die, or you'd have to force an object back at them. I have been praising this game a lot. This game does have some flaws, like the very poorly designed vehicle levels, some things that could have just been a button press instead have you blow into the microphone, and making a lot of the extras mini games or puzzles. But other than that, this game doesn't have a lot of bad things in it. Hell, it has a lot of unique things in it that makes it worth playing if you've already played the console version. The stud multipliers even work how they're supposed to this time, and I'm not forced to use touchscreen as much as I had to in the complete saga. The minigames you unlock this time around also aren't completely awful and unfair. While they still are required for 100%, at least they're fun. They have this weird one where you're supposed to pass a DS around with a friend and slide studs to get a high score, but you have to play it for a real person. They have a Cooking Mama clone, but instead you're cooking monkey brains and beetles, and they are both really fun. They feel fair when it comes to testing your endurance. But yeah, the last one they have is one where you avoid rocks as Indy, and the rest are just panel mini games and then a bunch of filler puzzles that aren't hard to complete. They're just a lot of puzzles, and they could have been fun extras instead, but we just got some basic ass puzzles thrown in. So yeah, this game is solid. You can tell TT Fusion felt confident enough to strive from the console game, and they ended up with a very fun game. I really enjoyed my time replaying it. This game took me around 17 hours to 100% complete, and honestly, I don't feel bad about it. This was also another game I got off my DS growing up, and I remember really loving it. I'm glad it still holds up today. If you're looking for a good Indiana Jones game or another classic feeling LEGO game to play, I really do recommend this one. While it does seem like I have less to say about this game, it just shows how much they improved. And now that it feels like TT has gotten better on the engine they're developing these games on, it makes me very excited and hopeful for the rest. Also, this game has multiplayer as well. Here's some gameplay of it. Anyways, yeah, this game was really good. And for the final game in today's video, it'll be a part of the DC franchise, which if you knew me, you'd know I'm a pretty decent fan of. I wouldn't say absolutely fanboy over it, but I did grow up reading DC comics, and playing this game really influenced that. Lego Batman the video game is the youngest one of these trilogies, and it's extremely popular. And I'm glad, it definitely deserves it. But it also caused a lot of people to forget about Lego Indiana Jones. It probably didn't help that Indiana Jones at the time had a new film that was met with very mixed reception, while Batman in 2008 was doing very well with The Dark Knight releasing in theaters. Not to mention this game was packed in a lot of console bundles, so it was impossible to avoid.
It did sell a lot, partly because it was bundled with Xbox 360s. That, as I understand it, made a huge difference to the sales numbers.
I do really love this game. I think growing up, it was my favorite out of the three. I just wish it didn't make everyone forget about Lego Indiana Jones. And yeah, it was my favorite out of the three, but I'm not sure if that's because Batman was on it, or if it's better than the others. This game is using the same engine as the last two. Everything practically feels and looks the same. The hub in this game is the Batcave, obviously. Again, kinda similar to the console version, but different here and there. Now, since this game isn't based on any movie, TT had to create their own story, and I love this aspect. Even if all the stories are as simple as the villain wants to do this, but Batman stops them, it tells three of its own stories, rather than in every level just leading up to a final conclusion. It doesn't really make it better than how they do it now, it's just a different way of telling stories. In my opinion, I prefer it this way because it keeps every story fresh. These days, I think LEGO games go on for far too long. Finally, we start the first level, and we are treated to this beautifully drawn comic book still. I absolutely adore this. It's cool that in the console version you get full motion video, and in the handheld they give you the comic book versions of them. It helps this game stand out a lot more, and it's the best way to go about these cutscenes. It keeps it from not aging very poorly, and keeps it in the style of the game and franchise. After the cutscene we start the first level in the streets of Gotham. If you can't already tell, this game's levels are trying to recreate the console version. While there are some similarities, they're in the same area, the levels themselves are different between the two versions. The gameplay is the same as the last two, more similar to Indiana Jones. But a huge difference this time around, they finally don't rely on panels for every puzzle. Sure, there are panels in this game, but there are no mini-games before them. They do have these strange silver, gold, and blue keys that are included via red bricks. These just unlock silver, gold, and blue panels that hold secrets in the level. This game is the only LEGO game to have something like this, so I just thought I should mention it. The other two panels are hero and villain panels, which do the same thing as the key panels, but the levels in this game are a lot of fun, going through Gotham in the streets, or sometimes the rooftops. You go to a zoo, a chemical factory, a bank, an ice cream factory. So many cool areas you could explore. This game's main gimmick is the suit swapping. Batman and Robin both have multiple suits that can help them solve puzzles or traverse areas in the level. Batman and Robin also do different things, like Batman can use grapples while Robin can walk across tightropes. It's a lot of fun swapping between characters to solve one puzzle, and then you end up having to fight some enemies. You could use the batarangs to knock enemies' weapons from their hand, or just fight them. This game is the same combat as Indiana Jones, which made it really fun. Some characters have swords and others have guns, but overall, a lot of the characters feel the same, they just can do different abilities. But hey, they do have Nightwing and Batgirl in this game, and they are even able to wear Batman and Robin suits, which is a really nice detail. This game does have vehicle levels, and they're probably the best out of the three. They take a more arcade approach, and they aren't that annoying. It really helped that they were sparing on them, only putting them in every third level for each story. One of my favorite parts about this game is after you complete the story, you unlock Arkham Asylum, which is a whole new hub world, and it lets you play through the same story, but this time through the villain's perspective, which adds a lot of new areas to the previous levels, and you have to traverse them in whole new ways. This feature is so cool. It's a shame TT has never done anything like this again, and I think it's one of the reasons why LEGO Batman is so popular. Not only that, but it has such an unforgettable atmosphere, just going through Gotham City with all the glowing purples and greens, with Danny Elfman's amazing Batman '89 score playing. It makes the game so hard to forget. This game ditches the mini-games for high score based versions of vehicle levels, and they are not required for 100%. But when you complete both hero and villain stories, you unlock a mode called Villain Hunt. This mode has you play through levels looking for some pretty obscure DC villains with a timer. After you beat one, you can buy the character in the shop. These villain choices are so cool. It's pretty obvious why some of these are hidden behind a mode you don't unlock until after you beat the game. But finally, I'll talk about why the DS version of this game is so well known. The character roster. Not only do you get every single character from the console version, but you also get alts for a lot of the villains, or their alter egos. Batman has a blue costume. You can unlock Hush, Huntress, Firefly, Black Mask, Azrael. So many cool characters exclusive to this version. Which just makes me feel like the game's developers were huge fans of DC, and you could tell they just wanted to put so much love and passion into this game. And because of that, it really made me dig deep into the lore of Batman as a kid. I really appreciate this game, and love it to death. It still holds up so well. I would say gameplay wise, Indiana Jones probably did that the best, but I don't know, just the love and care they put into this game made me really enjoy my time with it. This game took me around 21 hours to 100% complete it, but I loved every second of it, even while getting 100%. I can really see why as a kid this is my favorite out of the bunch, and yes, there is multiplayer. I think this one has the best multiplayer out of the three, mostly because of the way puzzles are solved by swapping between characters. I just know it'd be a lot of fun going through levels and solving puzzles with someone else. Anyways, this game was really great. I have explored inside and out the first 3 LEGO games developed by TT Fusion. I am really excited to see what else they do. I loved while I was moving on to each game, I could see improvements carry on, and they would fix a lot of their mistakes, like fluffing out the game with a bunch of bad minigames, or forcing you to use the touchscreen or microphone. Just seeing what they could do with limited hardware was really cool. It is kind of terrifying knowing I have 18 more games to cover, and that it'll range in quality, but these games mean a lot to me, and I'm tired of seeing no one talk about them. Anyways, yeah, this video is already long enough as it is. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I cannot wait to continue this journey.